Whātua nuku whātua rangi tihei Maurea, tuatahi ka tika ka mihi atu ki te tangata whenua o tēnei rohe ki Waipuna arā ko Ngāti Pāua, nei rā te mihi o Ngāti Whātua ki a koutou e mihi ana. Ko wai tēnei e tū I mui a koutou I tēnei rangi he uria hau no Ngāti Whātua, te uri o hau Ngāti Pāua, o Waikato Ngāti He, ai te taho tōku pāpā ko Ngāti Pākehā te iwi. Engari kei o rā kei taku tūranga waiwai, nō reira ko maunga kieke te maunga, ko wai te mata te moana, ko ora kei te marae. Ko Precious Clark taku ingoa, ko taku mahi ki Maurea, ko te tumu whakarai, e mihi atu nei ki a koutou katoa. Greetings everyone, my name is Precious Clark and I hail from the tribes Ngāti Whātua in central Auckland, Te Uri o Hau up in the Kaipara, Waikato and Mulu territory, Ngāti Pāua in the area you are in today, Ngāti He and Tauranga, and on my dad's side I'm proudly 5th generation New Zealand Pākehā with ancestry into England, Ireland and Scotland, and I'm the Chief Executive at Maurea. My personal leadership journey, I guess, started in the womb. I was conceived during the occupation of Bastion Point and had my conception story told to me by my grandmother, and I haven't met anyone else who has had their conception story told to them by their grandmother. But I came out into the occupation of Bastion Point and I got to be a part and observe the leadership of my Uncle Joe Hawke. And so he has been a real strong force in my life ever since I was a child and nurtured me as a leader within my family and within my iwi. Unfortunately, we lost Uncle last year, and so getting used to my living superhero now just being a superhero is a different experience as a leader. But Uncle Joe exposed me to a whole lot of opportunities. I can remember when I was 7th form, he phoned me and asked me what I was doing, and I lied to him and said I was doing my homework. And he asked me, would you like to come and meet Nelson Mandela? And so I jumped at the opportunity and he said, jump in a taxi, get to St. Matthew's Church in the city and I'll pay for it when you get here. And when I got there, he asked me to do a karanga for Nelson Mandela, which was a huge honour. And the security guards told us we weren't allowed to approach Nelson, we weren't allowed to engage with him, we just had to stay back and hold our roles, but Nelson Mandela had a different perspective. And what I remember from that engagement is that he bathed everybody in that room in light. And so from a young age, I've experienced leadership of bathing others in light, and so that is something that I hold really strong, is how in my leadership might I bathe others in light. So Uncle Joe, my first mentor, role model around leadership. I've had some others since as well, so three that I'd like to mention is Bentham Ohia and Kate Cherrington, who mentored me for a number of years and still do. And then another friend, Sandy Burgum, who runs Play Leadership Collab, who really encouraged me, pestered me, annoyed me to actually take a further step in my business at Maurea to have a really strong social impact. To be a leader in Te Ao Māori requires you being a bit of a Rubik's Cube and being comfortable with that. You have to have multiple skill sets and demonstrate them and display them in different ways at different times. So for me, I am fortunate enough to be an elected representative on our Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei Trust, and I have been a member of our commercial board as well. And in those spaces, the kind of disciplines and skill sets that I need to be a good director is the standard, like know your financials, understand your people. But these days, you have to have a strong competency of reo and tikanga and cultural competency if you are to be recognised as the type of leader who can advance the aspirations and outcomes of your whānau. Integrity is also really important, and just to share a whakaaro, you can walk into a room and you can walk out without an eye or without an arm, but you give away your integrity, and that tells us that it's a decision that you make around your behaviours even when no one is watching. And so that integrity is fundamental within Māori society today. Other skill sets are the things that you develop. So for me, it's a legal background has been really helpful, but networking has been a really strong platform for me to use. So the friends that I gained and built close friendships with at university, I still hold them. And the friends that I went through law school with are now, getting appointed as judges, and we still have that connection with one another and support one another. And the work flows. So work flows through those friendships, and the friendships that I've acquired while living in London and in my professional career, those are really important to help me continue to create my impact. When thinking about how do we support and nurture our rangatahi through to leadership roles, I guess I think about what my own experience was. It was about creating opportunities for me. So my Uncle Joe created heaps of opportunities for me, including going to Canada with him and allowing space to speak and make mistakes. So my Uncle Hugh Kāwharu, another rangatira within Ngāti Whātua, he would put me on the spot at Waitangi Tribunal hearings and say, e tū kōrero e pāna ki te whiako ngā rangatahi. So to my speak up about the experience of rangatahi. And back then I'd just cry because I didn't know how to hold those emotions. But those experiences helped me develop, I guess, a decorum of how to engage in those spaces. I think these days paying them is really important. So something I do is actually employ people into my business and nurture them in a number of different ways to take on leadership roles through that. But it's also about being honest. So being held to account for the things that you think and the things that you say is also a really important part of that journey. So yeah, my parents did that and so did my older siblings. And I have really close friends and a really supportive husband around me who continue to do that, and that's vital in my leadership, because otherwise I would be operating in a vacuum. And you can lean on your self-awareness to a certain extent, but you really need to go out and understand how your thinking and how your actions are impacting others to know whether or not it's right. So my call to action to you, my wero, is based on the business that we run here at Maurea. So we started Maurea 11 years ago, and our vision is to see Māori culture drive Aotearoa forward. And our aspiration is to ignite a passion in every New Zealander so that they can learn, understand and fall in love with Māori culture. And we do this because we have a fundamental belief that Māori culture has such a depth, beauty and sophistication attached to it that it can resolve some of the big nasty issues that we have faced both nationally and globally. How do you increase your understanding of te ao Māori and Māori culture so that it can inform your practice, inform your behaviour, inform your organisation, and therefore inform our society so that we can achieve mauri ora for everybody?